Good morning. Our show, Talk Therapy, adds a clear voice to the discussion that Iowans face every day. Our program brings to the airwaves the doctors and therapists who understand the unique challenges Iowans face every day. Join us, Scott Casper and Nick Learhoff, each Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. on Iowa's Hope, 9:40 a.m. and online at talktherapytmhs.com for the conversation on this important life topic. Iowa, we're listening.
Hello again, everybody. It is Scott Casper and Nick Learhoff live from the Five Talents Financial Management Group studios. As he said, I'm Scott Casper and he's Nick Learhoff, and St. Gregory's our sponsor, bringing to you Talk Therapy, the mental health show, each and every week of the year. And each of those weeks we'll have a different topic. Sure, we're going to repeat ourselves once in a while because of the importance, but different topics within the sphere of mental health. Joining us are the guests that can help you understand what you may be facing and where you can turn. And who knows, you may hear something or someone that has a problem just like you. And some would say a problem. I see it as an opportunity. And Nick, I don't know I know that's the cup half full, right? I mean, I see it as an opportunity. Others see a problem, but mental health it's not something you choose.
No. I mean, it's something that as in our lives, we can start to things can happen where it breaks down a little bit of our coping strategies. And so as, if there's trauma, if there is severe stress relation to the job, I mean, it can create that anxiety, it can create that depression, and those things can surface really, and it doesn't pick and choose. I mean, anybody can struggle with these things.
Struggling indeed. And you just said the magic word, job. And I saw the numbers today in what is left of the Des Moines Register. And the jobless claims are down well below 100,000 now. And Iowa is going back to work. There's a great deal of uncertainty about the job condition. We're going to be some weeks to come, but so appropriate, I think, to see people going back to work, and yet there are still folks struggling to commit themselves to the task at hand, and that's being self-sufficient, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's a big part of that is self-care. As we get back into the work day and things are changing, we're doing things differently now with all the social distancing and, just the virtual platforms where we're not seeing other people and having that kind of connection every single day. And so, finding those things that make us happy, that bring us joy, bring us connection with others is going to be extremely important as we go and get through, the new norm, if you will.
You mentioned connection, okay? Like I have a connection with our producer, Danny Bishop. See how I did that? It's a name drop. Yep. It's casual. Nobody noticed it until I brought it up and pointed it out. But I look forward to seeing Danny. Okay, because he is part of my broadcast history. He's somebody I've relied on, somebody I appreciate for his skill and talent, and his long locks of hair.
They are nice.
Great head of hair. But it's familiarity, it's that and relationships that are inherent in the job place, the workplace. That's important too, because it's something you count on. It's your family away from home, if you will, your home away from home. And when that's absent, we run a much higher risk I've seen the numbers, at least from what I've seen, and that is a much higher risk of some kind of a mental illness, whether we identify it as such or not. It's there. There's a regret, and there's the loss that you have to deal with. And quite frankly, it's without some kind of assistance, groupthink. Social media has various groups out there. The internet has various groups out there where you can commiserate, if you will, share with others what you're missing in life. And there's that absence that can be terribly, terribly disturbing. Do you agree with that or not? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, you think of how we deal and manage and cope with just everyday stressors, right? We are talking to our buddies, we're talking to our significant others, to our coworkers, and that's, you talk about talk therapy in a certain sense, what do they say, that time that spin around the water cooler,
right?
It's just huge. just having that ability to just, vent if we need to vent, and just kind of talk about a laugh, commiserate, if you will, and so when you look at social media, what those platforms can be a really successful tool, a helpful tool, and it also can be a very negative thing.
And you have to be very careful. I challenged
careful.
my wife the other day. I said, will you stop posting negative things about coronavirus? Well, I said, no, seriously, you're part of the problem. And if you think you're not, you are. Here's the deal. We could talk about negative stuff all day long and affect the outcome of our day right then and there. We could start at 7 a.m. and by 9 o'clock at night, you're going to have the same exact thought about your day as you did at 7 a.m. And it's going to be negative, negative, negative. Why not choose the positive and upbeat, the uplifting stories, the things that you can put out there? I put pictures of puppies and kittens and fun, beautiful pictures of various places around the world. I just posted a photo that lead up from the very ground in Manitou Springs, Colorado, right? And these stairs are legendary because they look like they are ascending up into the heavens, because when you get to the top, you're above the cloud line, right, at the cloud level. And to me, that is a better use of my time and a more positive approach to life. And this is leading, folks, this is leading us into our conversation of the day. How you deal with that loss, the sense of loss in the workplace, how you're dealing with the sense of loss of your friends, your family that you can't see. Let's say you're in a extended care facility, home, whatever you call it, and you are quarantined, whether it's self-quarantined or whether it's quarantined by mandate from the organization that runs the place where you live. You're all of a sudden alone. But one thing they're more than happy to do, and that's to go to the grocery stores for you. And on that list is a bottle of Jim Beam or Jack Daniels or whatever. So you're not only self-quarantining, but you're also self-medicating, a problem that is being exacerbated by what? Alcohol itself. It only makes the problem worse, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about alcohol being a depressant, and when people are depressed and they're using alcohol to cope, you're basically just creating this wheel, that downward spiral, if you will, where you're just kind of adding to the problem as we go. It helps for a little while, then it becomes to a point of no return, where then it becomes too much. And, I think we've said this on the show before, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. And next thing you know, it's a half a bottle a day just to kind of get through the workday, or just to get through your day. And so, when you look at COVID, I mean, some of the things, I was just looking at a study from University of Southern California that talked about in late March, alcohol sales grew by 55% across the U.S.
I've heard in Iowa like 280% or some stupid number. Yeah. And is that close to accurate?
Yeah, I looked at some different things that said 240%.
Wow.
So when you look at what's happening even within the state, and we talk about these certain situations where if somebody's drinking a little bit, well, now I don't have to go to work. I'm at home, and so I can, I'll have one, and it kind of just gets exacerbated like that. Where it just kind of grows and grows and grows, and so a lot of people who maybe drank a little bit socially becomes a little bit more of that dependency, or becomes a little more, I don't
Isn't it funny how an addiction, or alcoholism in this case, it becomes social, all right? At the beginning, it's social. That's what we do with our friends and family. And then all of a sudden you're starting to see a little less of friends and family. And then all of a sudden you're starting to not see them at all. And I want to make something clear. I'm a guy that's experienced this, okay? I'm going to put that right out there. I'm not going to ask for your pity or sorrow. I sought the type of help I needed, and by golly, I'll just say this: St. Gregory's was my home. That's my destination in my heart today. Even in my recovery, as extended as it is, it's part of my everyday thought process. As a matter of fact, I look for people who post things about St. Gregory on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Why? Because I want people to see what I'm enjoying right now. I want people to experience that. So let's get back to the topic at hand: addiction, alcoholism, how we approach it here on this show, and every other type of malady, every other type of mental illness. This is not going to be one of those depressing shows, okay? I have a very affable, bubbly, personality. I'm not going to change that for the show. I believe we need to take a look at this for what it is, an opportunity for us to change for the good, for the positive. This is not something you should be ashamed of. This is something that it happens to most people at one point or another in their life. And I'm talking about a mental illness. In this case, you either act or you are caught in the throes of active alcoholism, active substance abuse. We're going to give you some tools that hopefully will help you. St. Gregory's is a great place, and it should be for many of you, and it can be for many of you, but there are other places to go as well, other facilities, other systems to go to. There's more than just 12-step programs where you meet for an hour a day, a couple times a week or whatever. And maybe that works. But for me, I needed a full immersion into the pool, okay? I needed people around me that were not only going through the same thing, but I also needed team leaders that had been there, did that, and now are helping others to achieve sobriety.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, getting in an environment like St. Gregory's, it comes back to that positivity, that looking forward, looking to the future. It's digging a little bit into the underlying reasons and the different variables at which cause that turn to
Right.
substance use or turn to alcohol or drugs. But as we kind of start to work through some of those things, then it's going to be more about like, what do you want for your future? What do you want that to look like? And let's bring our spirituality and our faith and God into this. Let's bring
That's huge.
Our new healthy habits, and let's challenge our thought processes and the way we do things. So that way, moving forward, we can look at things differently and have a different future.
We're going to be talking with Jimmy James Garcia. He is the admin director, right?
He's the admin coordinator. Yeah,
Ad coordinator.
Yeah, you bet.
Is that a step above director?
Yeah, it can be at times.
Yeah. Does he have a full staff underneath him?
So we work together. So I actually work with Jimmy and I work with Taylor at the house there, and it's just a matter of when people call in and are looking for that outlet, that help.
Yeah.
We are able to kind of coordinate that process, try to get them in as soon as possible, and if not, we can find them hopefully some resources that can be beneficial to them as well.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to take a quick time out. Along the way, Danny's going to be prepping our guest, and that is Jimmy Garcia from St. Gregory's Recovery Center in Bayard, Iowa. Other locations as well. We'll talk to him about the process and what he sees. I mean, how depressing it could be to see all these folks that are struggling, that desperately need help but may not be ready to admit it. Okay, we're going to talk to him about that and more. Folks, stay tuned. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, enjoy the conversation. Learhoff and Casper with you. St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show, is for real in Iowa. We're listening, and so are you, on Hope 940 AM.
Stay tuned. There's more with Nick Learhoff and Scott Casper right here on Iowa's 940 for St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show. Iowa, we're listening.
I came to St. Gregory very reluctantly at my all-time worst, physically, emotionally, and mentally. But I gave my best effort to these new things in my life as I saw hope in this complete approach. I'm at the point now that I feel my strongest and best ever, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I felt quite certain God was orchestrating everything.
St. Gregory Recovery Center. Recovery starts here. RelevantRadio.com/St. Gregory.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the show. It is Talk Therapy, the mental health show, brought to you by our friends at St. Gregory Recovery Center. Nick Learhoff is with you. When I spent my valuable time at St. Gregory, I told everybody on staff, I'm going to do a show where I can talk about my experiences and be able to help people focus on what they're going through in life, okay? And I don't know if anybody believed me or not, but Jimmy at least listened, okay?
Yep.
I mean, he listens to everybody. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Jimmy on today. Not only do you get to work with him, but ultimately exceedingly positive. And he was that guy that my wife talked to first as she did her research on where I would be a best fit. What would be a best fit for me as well? So it's a two-way street. Mm-hmm. And always there's the thought of, is there room? Is there room? Well, one of the reasons there is a room is the guy who plans for what we call matriculation. In other words, how do people and when do people leave? How do they leave? When do they leave? and how many openings at any point in time. It's kind of like a hotel, and I don't want to simplify it too much, but a hotel has to make money, and they do so at about 89 to 90% occupancy. Well, a facility like St. Gregory's, an operation like St. Gregory's or other types, they have to have a threshold as well, bottom and top. In other words, they've got to make money, and they've got to keep those beds operational, and then they have to keep their counselors busy as well, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. So keeping all of that in mind and more, we're going to be talking with Jimmy Garcia, and Jimmy and I actually knew each other when we were much younger. And much to his disappointment, I show up on his doorstep. That's what I was trying to say. But telling him I was going to do this thing. And here it is now, come to fruition. He joins us now. This is Jimmy Garcia. James, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you, Scott?
Good morning. Good morning. We are finding our show legs this morning and getting everybody up to speed on what we're doing. Mental illness, of course, the general topic, but let's boil it down. Addiction, alcoholism, and stuff like that. We're gonna talk about that with you. Tell us how you got started with St. Gregory's.
Well, I tell you, it's been a journey for me. 2010, I was approached by one of the directors over at St. Gregory's asking some questions about my own recovery. And during that conversation, I was offered the position there at St. Gregory's to be able to get on the phone and maybe help clients and do admissions. So,
Jimmy, we appreciate that which you go through, perhaps, and I think it may be fair to say most people don't really understand how a guy can be so positive always and yet be faced with handling the problems of others. I mean, you gratefully and respectfully welcome anybody that actively seeks help, and walks through those front doors, because walking through those front doors is a huge step. Nobody really knows how big a step that is, because they're really laying themselves wide open, and that's the only way it's going to work. If you just are totally honest with yourself and everybody else around you. Okay. Am I wrong about that? Or that seems to be the experience that I got, but, and I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about everybody else. I'm only using my personal experience as, perhaps a bellwether as to what people might be able to expect and might be able to experience. But am I oversimplifying it?
no, I mean, Scott, you're right. You're dead on it. If somebody is seeking recovery or a better way of life or wanting to deal with their issues at hand, I think it always is important, that they come to that place where they surrender. They want the help. They're looking for the help, and they need the help. That's not always the case, but it most certainly does help.
So denial, you say not everybody's ready. Maybe it's the family that's more than ready, right? Or the spouse.
Family's definitely always ready.
But because everybody around you sees it, and you know what? Here's the answer. This is the answer. It was for me. It can be for you. Family will make that call, start the investigation process, even without the active participant being a party to it. In other words, my wife started the investigation. I've already said that. She started the investigation and found a place she thought would be good for me. She talked to you. It's not a sales pitch. This is what we offer. This is what we have. This is how much it costs. And yeah, folks, nothing's free. And believe me, you will value every single minute you spend there, and you cannot quantify it in dollars and cents. You have to quantify, because what you're doing is gathering your life back. And at what price? Nick, this is such a huge opportunity for families, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, as they start to kind of see that there's a need there, okay, something's not right with Bill. He's started out a couple. Now he's having way too much. Now he's kind of a little bit out of control, or however that process goes for that family. But they kind of reach out and it says, okay, no, enough is enough. We're going to have to kind of move forward and get you the help to get you back to who God created you to be,
right,
to be the best version of yourself. And, sometimes it takes a full blown time out, where you're at residential treatment, staying, 5 to 7 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on what that need's going to be for that individual, to really get themselves away from the substance and get themselves to fully emerge or all the way in the pool, as you said earlier, to be able to take a deep, hard look within themselves. You talked about a person being completely honest with themselves. And I think it's just a matter, and Jimmy talked about, the surrendering. It's getting to a place where you're not fighting anymore. You're just, shape me, mold me, work with me, help me see the things that I cannot see in front of me. And so I think as you look at St. Gregory's and the different modalities and things that are used there, it gets back to that holistic mind, body, spirit approach.
Mind, body, spirit. That's such a helpful way to look at it, because if any one of those three things is missing, that's where the imbalance is, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at all the things that surround an individual. You talk about, the biopsychosocial model of addiction, or the idea of the things physically that can go wrong when you're abusing substances, the mental emotional issues that could be the underlying issues, or, which comes first, the chicken or the egg type thing, as well as that spiritual and social. We are all social beings. We need those relationships, kind of like we talked about within the workforce before. We have our friends and our social relationships, those areas of support. Well, the spirituality, our faith in God is also support within itself, and so not only from a standpoint of the communal aspect, where we are part of that community and can be part of a group that accepts us for being a child of God, but also from the standpoint of just having that person there to listen, to vent to show support when the struggle is real.
Right. And Jimmy, we talk about being a child of God. Okay. You live this each and every day. When you were absent, by the way, for your time off from work, there are many of us, myself and my friends, that are my friends to this day. Months and months and months later, I'm even closer to them now than ever before, because we had a shared experience. But when you were missing, and your office door was, or your office was dark, not only did we miss you, there was a sense of the foundation, that we relied on. And I don't want to, to beat this too badly, but we missed you because you were that rock for us. And we need that, right? I mean, we need somebody that we can rely on. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, here's what you're saying. I mean, the whole idea behind it is compassion and love. And if you think about it, everybody's seeking something, right? Everybody's seeking something. They're seeking love. If you believe in God and you believe that you're created in His image and likeness, what is God? God is pure love, agape. And that's the problem that we see in addiction, is that people are trying to fill that need. They want that instant gratification. They're looking for love. They're seeking love, and they're looking for it all in the wrong places. So, I mean, to be able to be there for somebody, to be able to listen, to be able to be compassionate, to be able to be the light of Christ is all that anybody really truly wants or needs.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make our way to our commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about those folks that are in assisted living facilities, retirement homes, elder care, memory care, and yet they are alone. In many cases, terribly alone. And if only, and I, again, don't want to simplify this, but for coronavirus purposes, they are being quarantined, or mandated by the organization for their own safety. Well, it's creating other problems. It's creating issues where we're seeing alcohol sales in the state of Iowa up as much as 240%. That's a significant number. And believe me, it's not all 25-54 folks that are drinking more. It's everybody. We're going to talk about that more with Jimmy Garcia from St. Gregory on the other side of the break. Jimmy, hold on, okay?
You bet, Scott.
All right, from the Five Talents Wealth Management Studios on Hope 940, you're listening to Casper and Learhoff. This is St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show, back after the short timeout.
St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show, will continue after this commercial timeout.
I can't say enough about the staff at St. Gregory's, who seem especially gifted to work in this field. They were so helpful and encouraging and will always have my gratitude. I made some very good new friends, a couple of whom I probably would not have made it through those beginning days without. Everyone and the programs at St. Gregory's seemed designed and placed in my life by God's perfect plan.
RelevantRadio.com/St. Gregory. RelevantRadio.com/St. Gregory.
Hey everybody, welcome back to St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health talk show. We are with Jimmy Garcia from St. Gregory's, our admissions coordinator there, and with Scott Casper, and we are going to be talking about some just everyday life struggles and how we can overcome some of those things, and how we can move forward.
And we do want to thank everybody at St. Gregory's corporate. Yeah, there's a corporation that votes with its dollars to support a program like this, because it's in many ways their outreach program, and I believe it to be so. Otherwise, I never ever would have dreamed this as a concept, and then and sold the concept to Hope, in that we could take it to air and be a service to other people.
Absolutely.
And Jimmy Garcia, as you mentioned, is our guest. Jimmy, welcome back. The idea that this whole coronavirus 19, was that what they call it, coronavirus 19?
Yeah,
or are we on 20 now?
Corona 19. Yeah, that has a couple.
Remember that song? No, my Corona. No,
oh, yeah.
Different song. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So retirement homes, elder care, assisted living, whatever they call it, wherever it is you live. Let's say you have officially retired and you no longer need a full-time home, a big home. You just move in with your spouse or by yourself into a place where you have your own apartment, and again, you are suddenly all by yourself again, only in a group situation. And now you're being told you need to self-quarantine, you need to be out of touch with your family, your friends, your ecosystem, as it were, your support system. Jimmy, what dangers lie for those folks? What dangers lie there in terms of alcohol abuse, substance abuse, even prescription medication abuse?
Right, prescription medication. So, what you're seeing here, Scott, is isolation. And we see that happening a lot in substance abuse when somebody isolates, or they're lonely, or they're by themselves. I mean, not a good position to be in. We're creatures of compassion, so we need each other, right? So you put somebody in isolation, and then the things come into play like depression, anxiety, that loneliness or fear or scared of being alone. And when that happens, then people want to self-medicate.
And and therein lies the problem, because then it's a self-perpetuating problem. It's one, okay? It's two, it's three drinks, okay? Or it's one more pill because, gosh, it put me to sleep, and all of a sudden you need two pills to go to sleep.
Right.
You need three. You wake up, you take another one, okay? And no longer are you truly in control of that decision. That is something you're doing because it's a cause and effect, okay? You took it because, okay, and it's being prescribed to you because, but all of a sudden you're starting to take that medication and the habit or the direction into your own hands. No longer are you following the label where you're not supposed to mix it with alcohol. And then it becomes even more problematic because you're building on a problem and the foundation is solid. Believe me, there's no way around it unless you completely break free of the cycle. Jimmy, you see folks come to your door, talk to you on the phone, that are struggling greatly and they're not quite sure why. How do you respond to those folks?
So when somebody calls in and they're seeking help and they don't know why, and that's a good point, Scott. They don't know why they're stuck in their substance abuse, and they're looking for a way out. The thing that I addressed in something you said earlier, body, mind, spirit, somebody has to be ready to take a look at the underlying issue. When we talk about drugs and alcohol, we talk about drugs and alcohol being the Band-Aid. But what's the wound? what's the underlying issue? And you talk about these folks that are in isolation or in quarantine and they're alone. That's what we take a look at. We want to take the Band-Aid off and really look at the underlying issue: depression, loneliness, anxiety, low self-esteem, the lack of love, maybe some anger or control issues. Everybody has something. Life's hard, and if you don't have the coping skills or cognitive skills to deal with those things and be able to navigate through them, then what do? We want that Band-Aid.
Nick, one of the things when I first talked to you about this, I said, first of all, you've never done radio. That's cool. I really wanted that. I wanted somebody that was just going to have a conversation, because too many times we think there's you have to talk about a mental illness, an addiction, a substance abuse problem, and for many it is a problem. But we talk about it in lower tones. We talk about it with some shame. We need to get past that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And why? I mean, why do we need to get past it?
There used to be this model of addiction, the moral model, basically saying that, okay, if somebody's struggling with an addiction, it's because they lack some sort of moral compass, or they lack some sort of ability to understand right from wrong. But it's more than that. We talk about that mental illness or that illness, that chronic illness of substance abuse or addiction and those things. I mean, it doesn't pick and choose. Somebody could get in a car accident and have a really bad neck injury and they get prescribed opiates. And next thing you know, okay, well, yeah, one's just not cutting it. So they have that second. Right. And then, okay, well, I'm just going to do a pill and a half. And all their intentions are all in the right places. They're just trying to help, with the struggle. And then it just gets that downward spiral out of control. And so, there becomes this stigma that, oh, you're struggling with drugs or alcohol, you're just a horrible person. And
right.
You couldn't be farther from the truth.
Right.
I've met a lot of really, really good people that have, come into the center. And, I could go leave my office and go to grab something like materials or something out of the closet and leave my wallet there, not have any problems. I've also met a lot of people outside of substance abuse that I couldn't trust them as far as I could throw them, and so just because somebody's struggling with a substance doesn't mean that they're lacking of that moral compass, if you will. And so, it's one thing as a society we need to kind of move past, and I think it's starting to become, it's starting to get there. It's just going to take time.
And time is of the essence. Okay, every minute you are missing. And I'm just going to say it, a sober perspective on life, you're truly missing out, and so many others in your life are as well. You go to seek help at St. Gregory's, and Jimmy, jump in here. You go to St. Gregory's to seek help, not just for yourself, but for everybody else in your life, correct?
Well, a better way of life. I mean, when things for yourself become better, they become better for everybody around you. I mean, you have... So the idea of being the best person or the best version of yourself you possibly can be affects the whole household, right? So if you're the father of a house and you're deep into your alcohol, you're not being the person you're supposed to be. You're not being the father you're supposed to be, the husband you're supposed to be, the dad for your children. All of those lives are affected. And so when somebody's seeking a better way of life, it affects everybody for sure.
And gosh, aren't there people in our lives that are uber patient? You know what I mean? They want to see us. They want the guy they married. They want the gal they married. Mm-hmm. And most people want to be free of whatever substance has gotten in their way. In this particular episode, we're talking about substance abuse. Our primary sponsor, our presenting sponsor, St. Gregory's, deals with that. But what is absent? Okay, what is absent? What are the predominant things that are missing? The dominant things that are missing, and how can we bring those things back and make that sun shine again? Because too many times the skies become cloudy, in many cases stormy, and you don't quite know how to get in out of the rain. And that, I love that, because I needed to get out of the rain, and there are many others that were with me in my special time That's what it is. Very special time. And I identified it as such, but it was storming in my life. And I had started using alcohol for what I thought to be the right reason. I was self-medicating to deaden the pain of what was going on in my life professionally. And that only made it worse. Believe me, it made it worse. I was going through performance anxiety because I wasn't able to perform. What? Yeah, I'm talking about as an announcer, a broadcaster, or whatnot. There are those that said, we can't be around you with it. It may have cost me a job or two or whatever. That's a side. That's a negative effect, but realistically, it was everybody else. And by the way, those people that wanted me not to work with them professionally are still my friends and wanted me to seek help. Okay?
You bet.
Sure.
So I think that's a commonality, I do, in that I think people want to see each other, their friends, if they truly are your friends, they want to see you better. They want to see you have a firm grasp on reality. For God's sake, we're only here for such a short period of time. Why not make good use of every single second? Okay? Because he didn't put us here. Okay? He didn't put us here to waste time. We are to be productive. We are to be loving, giving, helpful, emotional. I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm not ashamed of that. Let me tell you something. That release of emotion is huge. I want to be connected. Jimmy, I told you, if there's new people coming in, I wanted to be there to shake their hand and to welcome them. Not over the top. I just say, hey, that I remember what it's like to come through the door and see everybody sitting at these tables eating, and I know what they're thinking. Oh, here's the new guy. But I didn't want to just be that guy sitting at the table. I wanted to be that welcoming face. You don't have to like me, but by God, I want to be that guy. Most people do. I got to tell you, most people like me. It's
you got a good point there, Scott. Everybody's seeking love, and so that's our job, is to love one another. And you know the saying, misery loves company. So people that are miserable, want you to be miserable too. The idea is identity. Everybody's seeking their identity. What's your identity? If you believe in God and you're created with a gift and talent, and your gift and talent, obviously, you have the radio voice. So, but if you can find your gift and talent and utilize that for the best purpose, you're going to find that joy and that happiness that you're seeking.
Okay. All right, Jimmy. We seldom ask anyone to hang out through another break, but it's too good. I don't get the opportunity to talk to my friend Jimmy Garcia enough. We go back to when we were 16 years old, sitting on a dock at a certain hotel in a certain restaurant here in Des Moines. Fond memories for sure, but it's funny how life gets in the way, and yet we reconnect in some way station in life, and I think it's fantastic. God put us in the same place at the right time. All right. We're going to take a quick time out. This portion of our show brought to you by our friends at Mullet's on Des Moines South Side, a great place to eat. Also by 5 Talents Financial Management Group. When we come back, more with Jimmy James Garcia. I give everybody nicknames. Okay, he prefers Jimmy. It's Jimmy James Garcia. It's like he's a
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. He's like a mobster. A mobster in a good way, man. I tell you what, give yourself an opportunity at St. Gregory's. I guarantee you. We're going to give you the number, the website, and all that information when we come back from break. Stay tuned. More with Talk Therapy, the mental health show, right here on Hope 940.
Stay tuned. There's more with Nick Learhoff and Scott Casper right here on Iowa's 940 for St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show. Iowa, we're listening.
The folks at St. Gregory were vital in helping me to get my brother into rehab. They were not only supportive of him, but of our whole family. They truly saved all of our lives with their love and kindness. Because of the hard work they helped my brother do, we regained a valued, healthy, and incredible part of our family. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
RelevantRadio.com/St. Gregory, setting the new standard for recovery.
All right, welcome back to St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the mental health show. This portion of our program live from the Five Talents Financial Management Group studios. We want to thank Don Boyd and his talented team of financial experts at Five Talents. Whether you're facing retirement or looking to better understand certain investment ideas, well, they can help. They've helped me, they've helped my family, and so many of my friends. Five Talents Financial Management's first priority is your overall financial success. They want to learn more about your personal situation, help you identify your dreams and your goals, and understand your tolerance for risk all along the way. Long-term relationships that encourage open and honest communication are the very cornerstone of their foundation of success. Look for them online at ftfmg.com. Again, that's ftfmg.com. That's Five Talents Financial Management Group, FTFMG. Call them at 223-7487, Five Talents Financial Management Group. All right, welcome back. More with our on the Newsmaker hotline, Jimmy Garcia. He's the what I would consider the talent coordinator.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's the guy that gets on the microphone every morning and says, "Welcome, campers. Today we're going to be hunting and stalking our own wild bear." No, different movie altogether. But this is a movie about your life. It really is. And you are ultimately the director, but everybody needs producers, directors of varying degrees and different. Everybody needs a little input. Jimmy Garcia is here to talk to us about that. And we talked a little bit. We touched on the self-medication, especially for those that are living by themselves, even in a group setting, in a retirement home or elder care, assisted living, memory care. Those folks are going to the grocery store to get your order, and more times than I'd like to believe, on that order of stuff from the grocery store is a bottle of Jack or Jim or whatever the alcohol is. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that as you drink yourself into a corner, the corner reduces in size, you find yourself cornered, and you don't have a way out. Jimmy, the phone rings, and by the way, that number is 888-778-5833. Again, 888-778-5833, or you can look for them online. Jimmy, give them the website address they can go to.
stgregoryctr.com.
All right, so we've given you the phone number. The website we'll do one more time slowly, Jimmy, for everybody that wants to gather up a pencil and a piece of paper. Give them the website one more time.
Find us on the website at St. Gregory's, CTR, CharlieThomasRoger.com.
Okay. And so these folks, and they may be uncomfortable talking about it. It may be a signal of defeat, Nick. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would as a signal of defeat, but I mean, when you talk about the reasons people turn to substances, it's to cope for issues that are going on in the world, and it could be their, relationships. It could be, like you said, their work. It could be maybe they're having an underlying mental health issue or a physical issue.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is an athlete who maybe they snowboard or ski and they have a bad crash and they break their leg and they're not able to do it again.
Right.
So at that point, they're trying to process and cope with the idea as like, my life's going to be drastically different.
Right.
Just like we see with COVID.
Right.
Everybody's lives are drastically different in one way or another. And so they're turning towards the substance. They're turning towards alcohol or what, maybe there's something that they use to kind of get by on a given day. But as things change, and change isn't easy, nobody likes it. We have to, or people tend to, I would say, turn to that thing that's going to make them feel better.
Next week, Jimmy, you'll be pleased to know, and this is, I don't want this to be a political show, okay? But politics does play a role in how we deal with mental health, because they are the ones that, if we apply enough pressure, make enough requests, and they hear from enough people, guess what? Money starts to flow toward, to helping. Last week we had on Marty Anderson, who's a representative in the state of Iowa. But next week we're scheduled to have Senator Joni Ernst on the show to talk about the CARES Act, right? And the monies that are available through the CARES Act and have been allocated to the state of Iowa. What happens once it gets to the state, that's up to the governor. It's up to state legislatures and how the money is spent, how it trickles down to those that need it. And sometimes it's a rush. Because let's face it, sometimes the money, you got to use it before end of year or you're going to lose it. And we're talking in this case about $51 million. What was that? I mean, when you first heard that news that Governor Reynolds was releasing that money, that $51 million from the CARES Act to mental health, what was that news like to you and yours there at St. Gregory's?
Every day I talk to somebody different, and I want to help everyone, and it's just the fact that not everybody has the means or the insurance or the financial ability to get in and get the help they need. So if that money is going to be distributed to the folks that need it, that's a big plus for everybody.
And we're going to be talking with Senator Ernst about what more can be done, what is in the works. One of the big things I want to talk to her about, and Jimmy, you see this as well, because there are individuals that come through that front door seeking help that are suffering from PTSDs, whether they're active military or veterans. And again, they are no different than anybody else. Maybe their issue or their malady may be amplified somewhat because of their experience, but guess what? They are, in many instances, self-medicating again, and they fall into that routine, and it's only getting worse. So we're going to be talking with her about that. She is a member of the Guard and the National Guard, and having been an active participant in the military herself, she understands perhaps better than most what we call retired military are going through, especially those that have been in the theater in the operation. When I was in Iraq, Afghanistan, and don't tell anybody, but even in Iran, because we did fly over the border, yes, we were in violation, but we were there to entertain and bring a bit of the U.S. home, or bring a bit of home to them, our U.S. fighting men and women. There's so much, so many issues that are, I think, that it's the undercurrent, okay? We have to bring those up and out, and I think Senator Ernst can help us. And I hope that it helps places like St. Gregory's keep things affordable so more people can be. Is there insurance involved with St. Gregory's?
Yeah, so we can take commercial insurance plans and utilize those to help people, utilize their insurance to help people get it.
I think a lot of people don't realize that, right?
Yeah, I mean, when people come through the program and being able to utilize their commercial insurance plans, Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all those types, it can actually make it a fairly affordable stay. I mean, when you're talking 35 days or more, depending on clinical need, where it's all inclusive, everything, food, bed, all the group therapy, individual sessions with counselors and therapists, 24/7, and so, utilizing that insurance can be a big help and not create a trigger in itself with the financial costs.
Jimmy, it's always good to talk to you. I really, on a personal note, okay, and I don't want to get all teary-eyed here, but I have already admitted that I do cry at the drop of a hat, okay? My time,
you too, Scott.
I know, my time at St. Gregory's, and I can speak on behalf of my closest friends, our time at St. Gregory's was so well spent. The days go by so quickly. At the beginning, you think you're looking at an insurmountable amount of time. It's not. And when you do finally reach the end of your plan, okay, of how long you're to be there, mine was kind of a unique situation, but I believe that you guys understood my needs, and that was part of my plan, was to be self-sufficient again and yet still rely on others. You guys endorsed that. You made it easy for me to not only seek help, but to welcome help, and then, find that direction, find that light. And St. Gregory's can be that for each and every one of you as well that are struggling. And maybe St. Gregory's is not for you, and that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody, but what it can do is open up a conversation about And Jimmy, you're going to be the first one to say, hey, maybe, St. Gregory's isn't for you. Am I wrong?
That's correct, Scott. The idea is to be able to help everybody. And I do get a lot of calls where, you know what, maybe St. Gregory's isn't a good fit, but let me help you find some resources. Let me place you in a facility that's going to help you.
Okay. So, Jimmy, thank you so much for the time. I know Nick has rest of the day off, which is nice.
Yes.
And the entire weekend off. So good job out of you, Nick Learhoff. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy just signed off on it by his lack of approval. All right. Jimmy, we love you. Best to everybody there. Give
God
everybody.
bless you.
Thank you so much. And you know what?
Thank you, Jimmy.
That is perhaps the best thing somebody can give you is the blessings. I love that. Jimmy, thank you. All right. He talked about resources, Nick. I'm going to give him the telephone number for NAMI. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1-800-273-8255. You can go online, as so many folks do these days. NAMI, that's NAMI, Iowa.org. That's another resource for you folks. And again, St. Gregory's, NAMI, etc. Nobody has all the answers, but it's a step in the right direction because now you are starting the seek and find process. And that is so very important. This portion of our show brought to you by our good friends at Mullet's, an American Riverside grill, which has a 2-level patio affording you great views of downtown Des Moines. Delivery orders are available through DoorDash. On the walls, you'll enjoy all of your favorite sports heroes like Dan Gable. You never know who you will run into at Mullet's. It may be me. Celebrating all things about the hairstyle, that's business in the front, party in the back. Mullet's, 1300 Southeast 1st Street in Des Moines. Call ahead for reservations, even more so now than ever before. 244-1443, Hope 940. This is St. Gregory's Talk Therapy, the Mental Health Show.